In the dark night, the antennas play a ballet of waves. How lucky. A whisper in the hollow of silence. The stars fly by, following.
Hello and welcome. We'll get started with the podcast in just a moment here.
Voices from elsewhere that growl and rumble. Each CQ a call at random. Words that travel in the dark. Amateur radio operator, vagabond of the world. On Liberty Radioscope, illustrate, I wonder.
Hello and good evening, and welcome to episode number 71. And today we're talking about one of the greatest elements of the hobby, QRP. That's right, making contacts across states, across continents, and even across the oceans, all with less power than it takes to light up a nightstand lamp. And in this episode, we'll explore what QRP really means, the history, the philosophy behind running low power, the gear and antennas that make it possible, and the community of hams who thrive on doing more with less. Along the way, I'll share stories, tips, and even a challenge for you to try the next time you're on the air. So grab your coffee, dial it down to 5 watts or less, and let's get on, and let's just see how far a little signal can really go. Hello and welcome to the Ham Radio Guy podcast. And I think that intro was probably a little low on music initially because I turned it down for the one and forgot to turn it back up for the other. So my apologies on the change on that one. So hopefully we'll see how that turns out when it all gets back into my edit file. So, well, hello and welcome to the Ham Radio Guy podcast, broadcasting from the W0MET studios. My name is Marvin and my call sign is W0MET. I'm glad you're here with us as we get ready for even more amateur radio adventures. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or a longtime listener, thank you for being part of the podcast. We are near, either we're at or just a little over, I think, 25,000 downloads on Podbean, and we're somewhere right about that on Apple Podcasts as well. So I think that's over. If I look at it correctly, it would be over almost 50,000 downloads. So between the two different platforms. So I don't think they're taking it into account each other. They might. Maybe I'm wrong. If you know the answer, let me know. But either way, 25,000, 50,000, I'm very excited about it either way. And I just want to say thank you, listeners, for being, and people who've subscribed to the YouTube channel as well, for being a part of this podcast and this ham radio channel. So I really appreciate it. Well, I've got some cool little stories for the day. I really want to kind of get started with first. And the first one is, have you checked out This Week in Amateur Radio podcast? If you haven't, maybe you've got some others you listen to, but if you haven't listened to the Amateur Radio Premier online magazine and news and technology magazine podcast all about amateur radio, has some great stories in there. It may be things like history of ham radio, some news, some de-expeditions, technology, news sources from all over the world for stories that are happening. And if it's not the longest amateur radio podcast, it is one of the longest amateur radio podcasts out there. So I think there are over 1,400 episodes now. So it's been around a long time. And, I want to say late 90s, somewhere in there, maybe mid 90s even. So very cool stuff. Well, if you're watching YouTube today, I will have this podcast on YouTube as well. We're going to switch over to a different view here for a moment. And we're going to look at a couple things online for my screen capture, if it shows up. What happened here? Why is it not showing up all of a sudden? I had it all set up in a queue, and it should have taken it. Well, that makes me feel really terrible now, because this is all queued. There it is. Let me just adjust this a little bit. Make that bigger screen for you to see. All right, so there we go. I don't know why it was not in queue, because it worked right before I got on the podcast. I was checking everything. It was all good, so I don't know what changed. But This is called Out on the Air, amateur radio activation program, leaving the shack and finding the world. Any location, any antenna, any power, anywhere. It is the soul of Oda. I'm not, maybe it's pronounced like Poda, but it's Oda. It's human-to-human connection through skill and radio craft. There is CW and single sideband voice. That's it. Voice or CW 160 through 6. And, whether you want to do it from a parking lot, a rooftop, or, a beach at midnight, however you want to do it. If you've left home, out in the air counts. So I've not set up an account for this yet. It's another one of those things you got to get into and create an account for and whatnot. Earlier there was 55 operators, so there's currently 58 operators out there doing it. Apparently, I'm not sure if they're calling it Auda. Again, I don't know if you're going to call it like CQ Poda, CQ Oda, CQ Oda. I don't know. It's a good question, but they have a leaderboard. But obviously, I'm not signed in, so maybe I can't see some of this information yet. You can have a contact, a blog. Oh, it takes you into email. Don't save that one. You can see some spots on here. Who's on the air right now? And I just don't apparently see anybody, but there were some people showing earlier, so maybe this thing's not completely 100% working. But I thought I'd bring it to your attention. I thought it was kind of cool, something a little different that we haven't heard about before, or maybe you have. If you have, let me know. Leave a something in the comments about it. Let me know one way or the other. Kind of, again, outontheair.com, and that will get you there to find out more about that. And if you have an activation, let me know. I'm excited to hear about that. The next thing we're going to talk about is FT8 Battle Royale. This is a really cool program. It's got the dashboard here. You can see today's leaders, Winter 2025 champions, this week's top 5, last week's results, the top 5 ranked, live stats, all-time highs, who's currently online. Anybody we see, anybody I know? F3R was on there earlier. I've not gone on here in a while. I've been too busy with other stuff going on. But you can see people are earning points here, and you can lose points as well. I saw somebody losing points earlier. I don't see nothing now. So we'll get into that in just a minute, how you can lose points. Like, what the heck, you want to lose points? Yeah, you can. You can have divisions, and there's leagues. Look at the different stats, history, activity, analytics, a contacts map. See, okay, you have to see current locations, streamers, supporters, how it works. I think this is where, let's see, is this where you set it up at? Try and find that quick. I'm thinking about it in line here. I don't see the current setup where this is at. Dashboard. How it works, maybe. A rule. Oh, it was just there. Maybe how it works. Rules. There we go. Go to more and type in rule. Go to rules and get your WSJTX configuration here. And you can open WSJTX. You set up a UDP port 2237 and log that right from WSJTX. It goes right into the server for FT8 Battle Royale, and you can start having all kinds of fun with this. So the cool thing about this is we'll go back to leaderboard for now, but this thing's a real-time competition layer built on top of amateur radio FT4 and FT8 digital modes. Every radio contact becomes a part of a live battle. Clubs are starting to compete with each other. All you got to do is connect your WSJTX to this, and you can start earning points. You have leaderboards, and you can steal points from other operators, and we'll get into that again in just a second here. Real radio contacts over the airwaves, not a simulation. Actual amateur radio skills matter in this case. So you got to be a little clever how you do it. If you have a valid HF license or a valid amateur radio license with the HF transceiver, you connect it to their UDP port and label logging and start making contacts, and you don't have to do anything else in the background except come over here and look at your scores and see how you're doing. So the scoring system, here we're going to go. Base points. Get 1 point per QSO. If you make contact with a PODA or SODA, you get 2 points. A first contact is 4 points. to work a station on that band on that day. That's 4. Now you get band multipliers. 6 and 10 meter bands, you get 1.5 times multipliers. FT4 mode, you get double the points and a duplicate penalty. So if you log the same contact twice, you get minus 2 times your points. So that kind of sucks. Don't do that. The last person to work the same station on the same band gets all the points. So if you work W0MT on 20 meters on FT8 and earn 5 points, and someone else works me on the same band and mode, they steal your 5 points. And the points accumulate. If you steal them from someone else who stole, you get the full chain value and creates intense competition. And each day it resets at midnight and kind of goes through that. There's a happy hour system. So there's the daily happy hour from 5 to 6 UTC time. There's the all-time high happy hour, which is 2 times the points. And when the daily plus the all-time high happy hour overlap occurs, quadruple points, so you get maximum chaos at that point. So you can really rack up some points depending on what time of day you do this. You can have division leaders, bronze, silver, gold, elite. So there's all kinds of different career ranks you can do in this. And there's just, what a cool thing. This was developed by Dude Tested, Sean, and he's very cool and has just a great time with this. And so there's a lot of, growth around this, and really people are getting excited about this and playing with this more and more and really having a lot of fun with the competition. So if you haven't tried this out, go try this out. This is really cool. This is a lot of fun, and you can see full standings of players and everything else. I think this guy's probably running a bot of some sort, because there's no way you're making 20,000 contacts QSOs on FT8. I just don't think you are. There's something going on there that's just it's just out of the reason. Now maybe you make 1,300 contacts, that might be reasonable, but to come up here and make, look at the difference on this. 9,000, 6,000, maybe 6,000 contacts might be feasible to do. But you got to be running some type of bot to be able to do that. I don't have the time in my day to sit there for hours and make 6,000 contacts. And as much times that, even if you're running FT4, you start doing some math on this, and it's like, figure this out. That's going to be really tough, because you can't always just make the first contact. Every time you click on somebody, you just make a contact with them right away. So that doesn't work. So anyway, something to think about. The other program I wanted to bring you, again, if you're watching YouTube, you'll be able to see this. It's called hamdash.com. And you type in your call sign when you first get in there. Let it see your location on your browser. This is all browser based here. And there's DX spots, live map, Apoda stations, SW live stream, weather safety, contest, web SDR, band plans, activation, space weather. We're going to go through some of this real quick. Some education. So you can see an education hub here. It talks about the phonetic alphabet, Morse code references, some other tools. Let's see what's in the tools here. I don't know if this might be something new here. That's a map. Where am I heard? Digital modes FT8. So I haven't put any digital FT8 out there today. So it just shows my spot up here in Wisconsin. And, that's kind of where that's showing. So not too bad. DX spots. You can see all the different DX spots here. Who's currently active, who's not. It looks like you can probably filter this for just 20 if you want, 40 if you want. So this time of night would be perfect for 40. Get a live map of all the contacts that are happening and where they're happening across the country, across the world here. So pretty cool there. All the different POTUS spots that are currently live and where they're at. It shows your location. So there's KJ5BAW doing FT8 in Little Rock Central High School National Historic Site. So this guy's in Fort Boonesboro State Park in Kentucky. So W1AW/4. So cool stuff. Stations, not sure what that one is. SW live stream. These are world radio broadcast here. Shortwave listeners, shortwave, radios. Weather safety, any watches, weather nets, warnings, that sort of thing going on in your area. Different contests may be going on here. Let's see, I don't know what these, SKCC Sprint, the QRP Fox Hunt. That's perfect. We'll be talking about the QRP Fox Hunt here. That might be one of those things that we need to mention later down in this podcast, talking about QRP radio. So how appropriate. Web SDR. You can probably pull up some different web SDRs here. A band plan, some activations, POTA dashboard with cat control. Not sure exactly what that one is yet with cat control, what the difference is. Space weather, you can kind of see what the absorption is, where things are at. Come down here, see Aurora Borealis. Oh, it's getting closer. Now, this has changed a little bit today. So our percentage of seeing this is, between 10 and 50%, or probably 40%. It was not coming around here earlier today, but as the night's gone on, this has swung around a little bit more to us. So potential to see a little bit in northern Minnesota and Wisconsin here. Maybe a little bit of Aurora Borealis, very little chance, but maybe some. There might be up here in the north and a little bit more yellow there. They have a little bit higher chance to maybe close to that 50% seeing something up in Canada there somewhere. So anyway, a lot of cool stuff in this ham dash count. Again, you got your solar flux and solar winds and K indexes and signal noise. So cool stuff. Geomagnetic field, there's a major storm going on right now. So that's probably why our bands are pretty bad, because they are looking pretty bad. I mean, there's not a whole lot of activity you can see this evening on 40 in my back end there when I take the screen down. But yeah, cool stuff overall, and very excited about that. So I think that's kind of cool to be able to see it and look at some of that. So anyway, there we go. So yeah, you can see it back behind me. It's not much for happening back there, but that is a little bit of things going on I wanted to talk about. And the other thing is, join Ham Shack TV on Thursday nights. Each week is just packed full of information. And we have a lot going on every week there over at Ham Shack TV. Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can catch us live right on YouTube. Some great panelists: Hillbilly Ham, KB5 UTY, Dave, Mesh Dealer Dave. We have Andy from World Radio League, N0 APX, and many, many more. Some special guests once in a while. You'll get like Prep Hemp Paul or POTA Power. I mean, we get all kinds of different guests coming in and popping in from time to time, even KMRD 2.0, Jason 2.0 stuff. So anyway, good panelists, good group. And, ask you to come join us over there and enjoy some of that time with Ham Shack TV AA4WX. All right. Well, we'll get into some World Radio League stuff in a little bit. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to give a big shout out to Dakota Lithium for supporting the podcast. I've been using their batteries for the past 3 years in every environment you can imagine: freezing cold, sweltering heat, and even soaking rain. And they haven't let me down. These batteries have traveled everywhere with me, from the back of my truck to carry-on flights, and they're still going strong. So I continue to use them. They're great batteries. And if you're looking for dependable, long-lasting power, check out Dakota Lithium. Use code Ham Radio Guy at checkout for a discount. And I'm sorry, the Ham Radio Guy for a discount. And you'll find the link in the show notes. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you like to listen. And don't forget, you can also catch me on YouTube. Leave a comment, good or bad. Helps the algorithm, helps more people discover the show, and share it on your socials and let others know you're listening to the Ham Radio Guy podcast. I appreciate it. Again, we're way into 25,000 downloads, maybe even 50, depending on whether the platforms are separate together. I'm not really sure. I can't tell from looking at the data, but a lot of downloads, and I appreciate that for supporting me over the past, I guess we're going to be going in 5 years this year. So it's been around a long time. So thank you for that, and I appreciate the support. You can also support the podcast by checking out the affiliate links in the show notes, and check out patreon.com/the Ham Radio Guy. Your support helps keep the content growing and growing the community, and even more gear reviews, tips, and ham radio inspiration. Speaking of that, I've got a new podcast out that is called Shack Smarts, Behind the Mic. And it's for patrons only, or for subscribers on Apple Podcasts. So you can pick it up there. It is like, I think $10 for the year, pretty cheap. And then you can, subscribe to me over on patreon.com/the Ham Radio Guy as well, and pick up all these Shack Smart episodes there as well. Kind of bonus content that I'm providing only to patrons or paid subscribers through Apple Podcast. And so, have a little fun with that as well. And that's been kind of keep me busy with things over there on that side as well. On a personal note, we've moved back to Wisconsin. We are back in the Midwest. And with that, I think I'm just going to go into this. This one's pretty good. I really like this. And I'm going to play this for just a moment here. This is actually the intro for the Shack Smarts, which is kind of cool. So I'll give this to you guys. I think it was maybe on an episode back in December. And this is what I'm using now for Shack Smarts. From the heartland of America, where the airwaves are alive and the freedom still reigns, this is the Ham Radio Guy, connecting faith, family, and frequency. Proudly transmitting from the Midwest, the voice of the American ham. So that is a little bit of the Ham Radio Guy Shack Smarts, 8 to 10 minute episodes. They're not long. They're real short and sweet, and just enough to kind of throw a little bit of information out there. They're all about tidbits, hints, and tricks to be more efficient in your operating, and continue to push those through. And little tidbits here and there, which is kind of cool. So I hope you'll go enjoy those as well. For just a small few dollars, you can certainly do that. Well, I think I felt like I did a little bit of news early with just some of the other things I was sharing with you on YouTube. So I'm not going to do a news break podcast. I don't really have a lot of news to give anyway. That's out there. But I hope that you will, I don't know where I was going with that one. So anyway, I lost track. I started reading something and I lost track of where I was going with that news one. But I'm sure you'll find other news. Amateur Radio Newsline. Go check it. I know where I was going with it. Go check out This Week in Amateur Radio. You will find all the news you need over there. That's where I was going to go with that one. So anyway, there we are. Well, hamradioprep.com, your fast track to getting licensed on the air. Whether you're brand new to amateur radio or looking to upgrade your license, Ham Radio Prep makes it easy. Their online course are FCC approved, mobile friendly, and designed to help you pass your extra exam or pass your exam, either one or whatever you want to do, general, technician, or extra, on the first try. Even if you've never touched a radio before, thousands of hams are already passed with Ham Radio Prep, like over 60,000. I personally recommend it for anyone who wants to learn quickly and retain the knowledge that actually matters out in the field. Ready to become licensed at ham or upgrade to general or extra? Go to hamradioprep.com. Use my exclusive code HAMRadioGuy at checkout to save on your course. Don't wait to get licensed to get on the air. Join the amateur radio community today with Ham Radio Prep. They have a great money-back guarantee, and you can't beat it. You can find the link in the show notes. And that Ham Radio Guy checkout will also work at World Radio League. So if you're looking to join World Radio League, they got a brand new desktop app out. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll see that I did a short version of their, or a short video on their new version of the cat control that they released. That's a desktop, not cat control. It's a desktop app that they released. It does not have cat control yet. It's coming. It should be out in the next couple of weeks, but they have a really great program, great logger over there. You can now do it offline, put it on your computer, take it with you. Windows, Linux, and Mac. I don't know any other program that's doing that right now. So you can get all three loggers out there for all three platforms and, make it work for you. And, if you want to go online, you can use their cat control online edition as well. But cat control coming offline is coming to them. Just give them a couple more weeks to have that done. And again, you can go sign up and get a discount using Ham Radio Guy over on their Ham Radio Prep or World Radio League side, either one. Well, if you have any questions, reach out to me, W0MET at thehamradioguy.com if you have any questions. And remember, you can find affiliate link discounts in the show notes of all episodes. Save yourself some money and support the show at the same time. So, well, with that, let's get into the main topic for the week, I think. All right. Doing more with less in ham radio. QRP. So we got quite a bit to get through here. So we're going to try and move along right away on this. Well, I would say we're diving into an element of amateur radio that I've not dealt a lot with. I'll be honest. It's not one of my favorite corners of amateur radio. I'm not a big QRP guy. I've done a little bit of it, but I've not done a lot of it. So a lot of people really, that's all they do. They want to do QRP operations, like into MAK Mike up in New York there. If you go check out his channel, YouTube channel, great channel. He loves doing QRP stuff. And, that's just, what he does. He does a really good job at it. Jason, KM4ACK, does a lot of QRP type operation. Just not my thing. So, but let's talk about this a little bit more. Let me start with a question first. If I told you could talk across the country using less power than it takes to run a nightlight, or even less than a dollar store flashlight, does that sound possible? Well, stick with me, because by the end of this episode, we're going to see why so many hams, myself included, are getting maybe hooked on QRP, and why I may change over to QRP a little bit more if I can this year, just for some testing and some playing around with, because I don't do it. It's not one of my favorite corners, but it's not a bad thing. And there's some reasons why. We're going to talk about this today. So we're going to look at what actually QRP actually means. It's a bit of its history, the philosophy behind running low power, the gear that works best, the tips and tricks that make QRP successful. And we'll also talk about QRP community contests and awards. Yes, there's even a bragging rights in the game of this minimalist radio. And so, grab your coffee, turn your dial down to about 5 watts or less, and let's see what QRP is all about. So, again, thanks for joining me here on this podcast, and I do appreciate it. The topic of QRP is quite interesting, actually, and I've learned a little bit as I went through and found information about this, and every one of these episodes takes a little bit of research to come up with the content and find, topics and different subjects I'm going to, talk about within each thing, like QRP. So the first thing we're talking about is some of the history behind it. And really QRP came from ham lingo. It comes from Morse code Q signals back in the early days of radio, when everything was CW. Operators needed a quick hand short to save time. Instead of sending, messages like, please reduce your power, you're overloading my receiver, it could be, hey, just tap out QRP, go to low power or be on low power, as kind of a question or maybe a command. So it is quickly done, efficiently done, and that was an easy way to do it. I mean, that was just part of the Q signals. And over time, this code kind of took on a life of its own. By the 1970s, magazines were using QRP to describe low power operations, though back then low power could mean anything under 100 watts. And as technology improved, the definition has even narrowed. And, this definition, you're going to get a lot of, it depends in amateur radio always, no matter what you're asking. But this really comes, I think it's more been pretty standardized nowadays, but ARRL, we use this in contests and awards for 5 watts or less, CW, AM, FM, digital modes. That's QRP, 5 watts or less. 10 watt peak envelope power for single sideband voice. So as winter field day, we've struggled with this a little bit. What is QRP and what are the standards that should be used? And that's kind of what we've gone with as well. And so some people who are really diehard QRP are going, well, we're going to operate under 1 watt or less. So that's right, 1 watt or less. So you're thinking, well, 5 and 10 watts is struggling enough, let alone going down to 1 watt. But there's a lot of people who make some great contacts on 1 watt. I mean, I know I've made a contact with a person or two who was running like 1 watt at a time. So it does happen, and people are out there, and a lot of something that will surprise a lot of new operators is dropping down from 100 watts to 5 watts doesn't necessarily make you vanish. In other words, just because you're not putting out 100 watts anymore doesn't mean your signal's not getting out. You're only dropping about 2 S units on a signal probably. So if you heard someone at S9 with 100 watts, they'd probably still copy you like at S6 or S7 with 5 watts. So still very good readable, right? I mean, that's not bad. But, if I throw out to you listening to to those listening, if you made a QSO, and what if you dialed down the power on that QSO? Could have you still made that contact? Food for thought. So, next time you're going out, say, hey, I'm making the contact on 100 watts. I can do it. Let me turn down to 10 watts. Can I still do it? So does it still work? Can you work with a buddy? Can you ask that person to stand by and still test it with 10 watts? Something to think about. Comment. Let me know what you think. Are you willing to do it? Are you willing to take that challenge? So something to, something to consider at least. So now a lot of people are going to ask, why on earth would you choose to run low power? Isn't amateur radio about reaching out as far as possible? More power. Oh yeah. Oh, Tim Allen says to more power. Oh yeah, more power. So, the thing is, QRP isn't about limiting yourself. It's about skill, finesse, and a different way of approaching the hobby. Comes back down to what you learned when you took your test. The FCC in itself says, Part 97, amateur stations must use the minimum power necessary to carry out the desired communication. Most of us probably skim right over that rule and just let it go and, say, screw it, we're doing 100 watts, we're going to do 100 watts. I got the damn radio, I'm going to go with it. That's what I bought a 100 watt radio for. I'm going to use it. QRPers take that literally to heart. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But there's a community out there, and they are tight, and they are diehard fans of QRP. That's what they want to operate, and they will operate with minimum power necessary. But there's some good reasons to operate, some practical reasons to operate on low power. And some of these might be lower electrical bills, that you're pulling power from your system. You're not, guzzling kilowatts of power by running an amplifier 1500 watts in your house, because you will use more electricity. Less wear on your gear. Radios will last longer. They're not pushing them. You're not pushing the finals 100 watts all the time. And when's the last time you had a neighbor call up and say, you're interfering with my TV, or you turn my microwave on every time you transmit by using low power when you're running 5 watts? I've never heard anybody complaining about interference when they are running 5 to 10 watts on their radio. If you have, I want to know the story. I want to hear about it, because that may be worth a podcast in itself. And maybe it's something dirty that was happening out there in terms of, some radio signals, or, something else was happening through electrical system in the grid and going to your neighbor's house, or I don't know. It could be some weird story out there, very potentially. But again, you almost get no interference issues when you're running 5 to 10 watts versus 100 or 1500. So another reason to use low power is emergency communication. When the power grid goes down, every watt counts. Think about this. If you're running a 100 watt rig and you have a 20 amp hour battery, you can probably assume that you're going to get, I'm taking a stab at this, 4, 5, 6 hours maybe out of that 20 amp hour battery. So you're going to be out of battery power, after one night of use, or one day of use, a couple hours of use. QRP, this is where it comes through and shines really good. When the power grid goes down and you're running on batteries, and you have that same 20 amp hour battery and you're using 10 watts, think how many more hours you're going to get out of that. I haven't done the math to figure that out. I wasn't going to think, didn't think about that till just now, but you're going to find yourself operating at least twice that, if not longer. And especially if you're using solar power, that you're probably going to get more solar power coming into that battery than what you're using over that time. So another analogy you might be able to consider for QRP and taking this into another hobby is maybe a lot like fishing. You're fishing with an ultralight tackle. You're taking your extra ultralight rod, some light lures, some light, weights, and maybe a very minimal, just side bag of some sort. You don't need a great big tackle bag or box with slider drawers and full of 25 different Rapalas. You're taking a very light, ultra portable fishing kit with you, and you could bring that bag and scoop up everything inside. You can have everything you want, but you have to pack it, you have to carry it, and you want to be able to go hiking with it, whatever, to where you're going to go. And so what's the fun in that when you're already tired when you get there? But you could have the boat out there and catch that ultra big fish as well. I mean, that's another way you could do it. You could run that 1500 watt amplifier and catch the big fish out there in the pond with your great big Ranger boat and some big trolling lines. But QRP, you're taking the 5 or 10 watt radio, your antenna, and you're casting out a small signal, hoping to catch a big fish. And so when you're out fishing and you got the light tackle and you got your ultralight rod that's got maybe 3 pounds of test strength on your line, and you catch a big walleye on it, that's a thrill. That's exciting. It's like, man, look at this big fish I just caught on this little line, right? So you're going to reach out in 10 watts and you go, man, I just made contact with, Eastern Europe somewhere. So, or I just made contact with somewhere in Africa, 10 watts. It's like, it's crazy. You're excited, so that's what you're trying to accomplish. And so with that, I'm going to say next time you're operating a radio and you're on the air, take this challenge. Try turning your power down just for a QSO or two and see what happens. See how surprised 5 or 10 watts can take you. You might be surprised. It might be, real surprising for you. So, that's, that's going to be a challenge. And I'm going to try and take that challenge myself with you to see how well I can do on operating. And I'm actually looking at taking my 705 over to my place in Twin Cities. I'm staying, renting a room there for my work during the week. I work, Tuesday through Friday. And, I'm going to put a little mag loop in the window, near the window there, and on a tripod, and just operate off the 705, and just to see what I can do. And that's going to be operating on 5 or 10 watts. So I'm going to start trying that and see what I can do. It's going to be kind of fun. It's going to be a little challenge, something I'm going to kind of push myself to do this year, and kind of looking forward to it. So I've had it with me the last couple weeks. I just haven't had time to take it out of the truck and carry it in when I'm carrying everything else in, like usually my backpack and everything at night. So I'm going to try and do that maybe tomorrow. I'll get a little bit more free time in the afternoon. I'm going to be over there early. So we'll see if I can set that up and play with it a little bit and see how that works. So that'll be one of my challenges I'm going to take myself. So don't think you're the only one getting asked to do this. I'm going to do it myself. All right. Some challenges and techniques that we can drive with QRP. We know it's not always sunshine and DX. Running low power comes with some real challenges. And basically, one of your big hurdles is a signal to noise ratio. If you're only throwing out 5 to 10 watts and your signal is just 2 S units weaker than the guy running at 100 watts, and the conditions are rough, that can put you right in the noise floor. And that's going to be really tough to make that contact that you're trying to make contact with. So how are you going to overcome that? It's a good question. Well, we're going to do it with some smarter operating. Well, what do you mean, Marvin? We're going to do smarter operating. I'm already doing everything I can. You've asked me to go down to 10 watts. It's like, what more can I do? Well, as we know, modes matter. And CW is king in QRP because it's just one pure tone. And it doesn't take much to get bandwidth to get a CW signal through, right? We all know that. So it's easier for a receiver to dig out the noise. Very cool. Yeah, that's true. Good point. All right. I'll buy that. Digital modes like FT8 and Whisper. Again, good weak signal, programs, good for that. So good modes. And You can do that. Sure. Okay. I'm buying that. We can make that work. And, if you have techniques like CW, and WSJTX, and they're designed for those weak signals, you can certainly make some good contacts doing that just fine on low power, because those are actually made for those weak signals, CW and FT8. So, secondly, is your timing. With 1500 watt station blasting away, your 5 watt, 10 watt call can get buried. So don't just jump in. It's all about timing, listening when you can make that contact. Watch for patterns. And if a DX station is working a call area, wait for yours. If there's a pause in the pileup, slip in your call once, just once. You'd be surprised how often it might work. And you can put QRP at the end sometimes. Sometimes people do, and they'll hear that. And they go, oh, the QRP station? Perfect. Now you got them. Third, I got a tool for you. You ever heard of VOACAP? VOACAP. Propagation prediction. That's right. It can tell you when and where your signal is most likely to get through. And time-wise, band mode, or band and maybe the mode. I can't remember. I know it does the band and time. It may do the mode too. You might be telling it's the mode you want to use. I think maybe that's what it is. So that's a great way to use, make contacts, is through VOACAP, saying, hey, this date and time of day, 40 meters, I'm going to go from here to here. What's my best band and mode, or best band and time to get there between the two locations? And then QRP spotting clusters can help other ops, QRP ops find you as well. So I got two things I want you to take away from the day. And this is number one here. Operating QRP is like playing chess. You don't win by brute force, you win by strategy. And that's what makes every contact feel like a victory. So it is possible. It is doable. People do it all the time. And that is some winning, some smart operating that will help you make a win every time and when operating QRP. It's like playing chess. You don't win by brute force. You win by strategy. So there's my takeaway for number one for the day. Here's my challenge. Next time you get on the air, turn down your power, try 5 to 10 watts. And when you make that first DX contact at QRP levels, you'll understand why less can be more. So that is, something that I think it takes a little bit of understanding from that perspective to be able to do, because it's not easy. I am all about more power. Oh yeah, more power. I like operating 100 watts myself, and again, it's not my favorite corner of the world here in amateur radio to be part of QRP. So it's going to be a challenge for me to want to be able to do that as well. And by using a 705, I guess I'm going to be forced to do it without having to use my amplifier. So, we're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk more about QRP operation coming right up after this. Word from ABR Industries.
Looking for top quality cables that you can trust? ABR Industries has you covered. Proudly American built and reliable, ABR Industries delivers premium coax cable and connectors for all your communication needs. Whether you're a ham radio operator, work in broadcast, or manage critical infrastructure, ABR ensures that you are connected when it matters most.
And it has such tremendously different characteristics.
From static to clarity, ABR products. Built tough, built here, built for you. ABR Industries. American built and reliable. Visit abrind.com today and experience the strength of superior connectivity. It's the only coax here in the W0MET Ham Shack. Use code SAVE10 Ham Radio Guy. ABR Industries, where reliability meets performance. All right. Well, welcome back to the Ham Radio Guy. I'm excited to have you listening. And before we continue the discussion, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. You guys make this podcast possible. Also, be sure to follow us over on social media for the latest updates, exclusive content, and peek behind the scenes. Again, looking at the Shack Smarts, you'll find that on Apple Podcast and Patreon channel. I'm always putting little things out on Twitter. If you don't follow me over there, please reach out to me and, join us over on Twitter. Love to see you follow there as well. And I'm actually on Instagram now too. So occasionally you'll find some things over on Instagram. So feel free to shoot me a message over there as well and say hi and let me know that you're now following me. So we're going to get into our fourth segment here called Equipment Choices. And, we're going to talk about some gear, and the joys of QRP is that you've got options at every price point here. On the do-it-yourself side, you've got the classics like the QCX Mini from QRP Labs for under $60. You can build it. It's a single band CW rig that is insanely efficient. And if you've ever built one and made contact on your first radio, you soldered with your own hands, I'm sure there's nothing like it, and pretty exciting to say you've done that, but it's not my thing. I've not done it myself, so I can't really tell you. But I'm sure there's some excitement in saying, hey, I built this and I was able to do this with my own hands and made a first contact. And that's pretty cool. The S-Bits radio, that's another one. Great for tinkers. I've been trying to get my hands on one of these. It's been really tough. They've been out of stock a lot. But it looks like these are really cool radios across the board. And I think those would be really exciting to try one of them. The FX4 radio, another little great radio, QRP radio, pretty reasonable to buy. You can't go wrong with that. If you are looking to buy more of a already, I call it commercial radio like Yaesu, Kenwood, etc. You got rigs like the Yaesu FT818, I think it is, and it covers everything from 160 through 6, and it runs like 6 watts. It's built like a tank. You find those things at Ham Shacks or a Ham Fest, and they are still $600-800. People want some ridiculous amount of money for those radios. Just a little QRP rig, but they are super solid. Probably one of the Yaesu's toughest radios they've got for an all mode radio. And they're strong. They're great little radios. Then you got the Elecraft and the KX1 through 3. These are, I'll call it the Ferrari models of QRP radios. They're lightweight, portable, efficient on battery. They draw like 150 milliamps on the KX2 compared to the FT18's 400. I think like 450 or 400. I think it's 400 milliamp battery use. So if you're looking to save battery and you're only carrying a 3 or 6 amp hour battery with you, that could make a big deal. So there's a new one out called the Lab 599, the TX500 radio. That's a great little QRP radio as well. And before I go any further, let's see if I can pull this up again. Just thought of this. If you guys haven't, let me pull this up here. Pull this up. I'll pull it back up on my radio on the screen too for you. So if you guys are watching, there we go. Let me switch this back up here. QRPer, the QRPer.com. If you're not watching this on YouTube and you're catching it later on the podcast, a lot of good articles for QRP discussion comes from this website right here. This guy does a great. Boy, I'm sorry. Does a great article on. It's getting late for me. I literally, it's past my bedtime. 4 a.m. usually comes early. So this guy does a great article on QRP radios and some great articles out there once in a while. Let's see if he's got QRP radios, what he's got here on that web page, part of it. There's the QRP Labs QMX transceiver. That's a great one. We'll talk about field kits in a minute here. That's just kind of what his storage is. Elecraft K1. Let's see what else he's got on here. I'm missing something. Well, anyway, I mean, it's just a lot of great little radios come off the KX series, and they are really great radios across the board. There's a lot of great QRP radios out there. There really are. So I don't see anything talking much about radios on the website there, but he's got a lot of great articles. If you're interested in QRP and you have not seen this article or seen this webpage before, I would suggest you go check him out and do something with that and take a look at QRPER.com on the webpage. So, but he does. I know he's got a lot of stuff about KX2 3s out there or whatever. Again, the TX500 is a Julian OH8TX or something. I'm missing part of his call sign. He's got a great out of the UK, I believe. He's got a lot of great reviews and talking about the Lab 559 radio from TX500 there. That's a really good one. And of course, you can't forget the FT1X from Yaesu or the ICOM 705. Both great QRP rigs. They're both doing 10 watts, and you can do a lot with both of them. I personally like the 705 better. I think Yaesu missed the mark on the FT1X radio. They've got a lot of things you have to buy accessories for, etc. And just don't like that I have to buy all these extra things that should have been included in the radio, like the GPS or Bluetooth. So I think Bluetooth is in there, but the GPS is not. So that's very frustrating on my part. I don't like that. So I'm not impressed with that radio overall. It's a nice radio. It looks good, but I also think it's a little heavier than it needs to be for, it's like 8 pounds or something like that. It's something crazy. So for things that it's missing, it's got a lot of weight to it. There's the true USDX little radio that runs at $150 too. It covers multiple bands. I said the FX4. Am I missing any other QRP radios? I mean, people may consider like the Xiegu G90 radio potentially a QRP radio. It's 20 watts. It would work for single sideband. You could turn it down to 10 to really be QRP, but it is a lower power radio, and it's a lot of people have used it and they love it. So, if it was me, the question of building or buying one, I would buy one, and I'm sure you can find them at Hamfest. Usually a little cheaper, and maybe give the guy a little bit of a down price. If it's $500, ask him for $450, or something like that. But I think with the commercial rigs you can buy, off the shelf, it gives you reliability, whereas the kits give you the joy of building, and maybe you get one of both down the road. That might be something you can consider as well. And so, for those listening, if you had to pack one in your radio, would it be a tried and true or like commercial rig like the Yaesu or the ICOM 705 or Lab 559 or the KX2 or KX3, or would you build it yourself? Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear one way or the other what your thought is on this and where you'd go with it, and hope that you can kind of come up with that choice of what you want to do. So we've talked about a lot of stuff here so far with QRP radios, and the one thing I haven't mentioned is your antenna matters more than your rig when you're running QRP. So with the 100-watt radio, you can get away with a mediocre antenna. With 5 watts, not a chance. Not a chance. I just don't think you can. If you had a mediocre or half, decent antenna, you're going to struggle with 5 watts. I mean, or 10 watts, whatever you want to do. I don't know, your choice. Like a full-size dipole would probably be one of your better choices. Something pretty resonant would be a good choice. They just plain work. They're efficient. They're good. For portable ops, in fact, halfway would get you where you need to go to, and not bad. Can't complain. but you can throw them easily into trees, either one, and they're, I'd say pretty effective. I've done some park activations where I've tossed the wire into the tree and, worked at 100 watts all day long and made contacts, all across the U.S. But I really can't say I've done it much for QRP side. So, it would be something I'd want to try and something I'd like doing. I don't know where that's coming from. Again, other than it's a late recording, because I recorded this once earlier and I had some background noise for coming from the radio for some reason, and I had to re-record. So, vertical antennas. I like vertical antennas, whether you're doing like the Shelligans or something from Diamond or like a Wolf River coil, Mad Dog antennas. Those all have good verticals on them, and I think they would work well too. I don't know how, something with shortened, antennas, traps, or coils. But I think they would eat up a lot of your limited signal, probably. So probably not the best way to go, but it would probably work still. So again, when we're working QRP, we want to circle back around here to like CW, digital modes. They're going to get you through as those weak signals, something like FT8 and Whisper. They can have incredible reach, and single sideband can work, but it can be more of a challenge, especially when there's contests going on and propagation sucks and the bands are crowded. You're going to struggle, and that's where tools like VoCap and stuff can come in. Don't waste battery power calling CQ when the band isn't open, or if you are just trying to do a contest on 10 watts. And so that brings me to my second point I want you to remember. Remember this line: your antenna is your amplifier when you're running QRP. Think about that. Your antenna is your amplifier when you're running QRP. An efficient long wire resonant antenna is going to get you further than anything else. So we're going to drive into the last couple things here. So we've talked about QRP gear and the challenges, but there's another component to QRP radio that I don't even really know much about, but I've kind of, again, done some research here and looked for this, and it sounds like it's the community. The QRP Amateur Radio Club International, or QRP ARCI, it's one of the big ones. They publish the QRP Quarterly, which is full of projects and operating tips. They also host a 4 days in May event at Dayton Hamvention, which is kind of like a family reunion or a Hamily, for all the low power hams and the people. I know that's always a packed house. Across the Atlantic, the GQRP Club publishes Sprat. So if you like building, love simple circuits and antenna ideas, plenty of inspiration, you might, if you're overseas. I know I've got plenty of overseas listeners, so that might be something you want to consider. And then there's awards for like the 1,000 miles per watt. I thought that was kind of a cool one. Probably became a favorite here a little bit. 1,000 miles per watt. Like, that's kind of cool. My first time of hearing about this is really through research. I've never heard about it before then. And, some operators have done like 1,700 miles per watt on just a half a watt. So that's incredible. And I just like, okay, that's a cool award to have. Definitely. Probably not going to be me, but, again, for my first time I ever heard about this type of award. So I'm not really still sure a lot about it, but I'm not sure where to go really research it offhand. I don't remember where I found this information, but something I thought was kind of cool. Other awards are like the QRP DXCC awards, working on continents with QRP, and I think that would be such a struggle. I'm struggling to do it at 100 watts or 100 watts and more. So let them go QRP. Probably won't be one of those words I'm getting anytime soon. So, and then finally, almost every contest I think has probably a QRP operation built into it now, like Winter Field Day, Summer Field Day, any of the other contests tell you if you're operating low power, high power. And, the nice thing about like winter and summer field day, you do QRP, you get like sometimes double or 5 times the points. So they really do encourage you to use a lot of QRP, which is cool. And maybe it's something I do for field day this year. Never thought about that till now, but maybe I'll just go QRP and get more points, and I may have less contacts, but who knows? So when you work another QRP station in one of those events, there's always a mutual respect. It's kind of like a secret handshake. You both pulled off something special with just a handful of watts. So it is something very cool and something worth, trying. Again, take my challenge, turn down the wattage and see how good it feels to make that contact at 10 watts or less next time you are operating on your shack or out in the port or whatever you're doing. And just see what you can do. Ask them if you can stand by and ask them if you can turn it down and come back to 10 watts and see if you can still make the same contact and what type of signal noise you get. You might be surprised. Something worth trying. So here's my conclusion. Things to take away for the day. QRP isn't about being weak. It's about turning less into more skills, more satisfaction, more fun. With every QRP, every contact feels like an accomplishment. Your gear lasts longer, your batteries go further, and your neighbors will never complain about interference. And I can guarantee you that. I don't think I'll have a problem guaranteeing that one. You get lots of choices for rigs, from $60 kits to high-end rigs like the KX2. And if you get them with a good antenna, smart operating, like I talked about earlier with vocap and digital modes, you're going to be amazed at what you can do with 5 and 10 watts. And most of all is QRP as a community, and whether you're chasing awards or building radios, just experimenting. There's a whole world of operators who love the challenge of low power. So feel free to reach out to them, and I'm sure you'll find those QRP communities. And again, QRP may even have more information on there. Like a lot of great articles comes from him sometimes. So I really think that'd be pretty cool. So, well, that is all we're going to talk about for QRP Radio Day. I got a few other segments for us before we kick out of here. And let me pull up one quick thing here. I think I had it. I thought I had it handy. Maybe I don't. Well, I was going to give us a couple events coming up, but I don't. Hold on. There it is. All right. So let's flip back over to here. So upcoming events, Skywarn Youth Severe Weather Awareness Special Event, March 15th through the 29th. The Bochum Space Day feature live contact with Antarctica, March 28th. The Radar Rally registration is now open for April 4th. And the Titanic Memorial Special Event honors telegrapher operators, April 10th through April 15th. So there's some upcoming events coming your way for things like that. May be at the Des Moines Amateur Radio Festival or Hamfest April 25th. So you might catch me in Des Moines, Iowa then. I'm thinking about going down to that one. And so looking forward to that, potentially to be a part of Winter Field Day being down there, and some things I'm going to get rid of myself and sell probably. So if you're in the Iowa, come out and visit, and we'd look forward to seeing you there as well. So with that, I think that's all I've got for news. We're way over an hour here. We're just actually about 5 minutes past, but we'll go get into wrapping this up here. So that's it for this radio episode of the Ham Radio Guy. Thanks for tuning in and being part of the conversation. Don't forget to share your thoughts, questions, or stories. Email me or connect over on Twitter and Patreon. If you enjoyed the show, leave a review, share it with a fellow ham, and help grow the community. And if you're enjoying the podcast, consider supporting us over on Patreon. Your support helps keep the show running and allows us to bring even more great content. Until next time, 73 and happy hamming. Keep those antennas high and the signal strong, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Ham Radio Guy. Take care.